Ma'am, to you. As a founder director of Orchid School and the visionary for educational process that is meaningful and relevant, she strives to bring teaching practices, methods, and curriculum in alignment with today's generation of learning. She specializes in social science through projects connecting vision with integrated projects, life skill education for young adults, and mentoring and coaching leaders. For technical college, she works in the area of developing employability for the students. She is engaged in institutional building process, leadership development, corporate to campus interface programs, macro level policy planning, etc. So here, Ms. Lakshmi Kumar.
Good morning, everyone. Is it after? Yeah, sorry, it's good afternoon. So I know that I think original plan was to give me 20 minutes, so I'll try and wrap it up so that we won't spill. Yeah? Well, I think that's a lot of build-up for me to stand in front of you. I'll give a short introduction and then I come down so that we can be more interactive and we can have sharing from you. I think all of you know the story of the boatman and the priest, right? The priest wanted to cross the river, a very turbulent river. So he calls the boatman to sail him across. And as he crosses, as he is going ahead, the priest strikes a conversation with the boatman, asking him that, so have you read Upanishads? He said, "Nahi, boss. I think 1/4 of your life is over." Okay, have you read Bhagavad Gita and the epics? "Nahi, I'm just an ordinary boatman." Seems like half your life is over and done with. So the next obvious question is, what about Vedas? So of course he wasn't going in the order of difficulty, but he was randomly checking. So when again the answer was no, the priest began to rant about how you have wasted 3/4 of your life. And then boatman turns to him and said, "But do you know to swim?" He says, "No." He says, "Oh my God, your entire life is going to be lost now." I think soft skill is about, it really epitomizes that sometimes we know all the content, we know all the, textual knowledge, and we know a lot of academic discourses, but when you don't know to process that knowledge at an appropriate time in an appropriate way with the right person, I think you fall apart. I see that now as a kind of problem, since I work also with technical school and management students, that students who probably have very high academic scores, but do not really apply it at a job situation or even at an interview time, fall flat. And we know that NASSCOM is constantly giving us this message that 80% of our graduate students are not employable. And of course, you see right now all the technical institutions in the 4 years are saying more about soft skills and less about technical skills. So there is this whole fight of how to complete the syllabus. So then they decide that, okay, 4 years or 3 years is not enough, so let's move to higher secondary. And we know what happens in the school and higher secondary. It's a lot of race for time for syllabus completion. The academic year is a little shortened, so we are also focusing on that. Then they said, okay, let's move to 10th and 9th because that's really the time to focus. And 10th and 9th is also another repeat story of race for the board exam preparations. And if you have to even do it, parents would say, hello, where is the portion completion? So it almost looks like that soft skill is not anymore an either or option, but an and evolution. So with that premise, I just want to give some highlights and then we can talk about it. I know that soft skill is almost put in a position of as against the hard skill, which is the cognitive and for some reason technology is put as a hard skill. And hence soft skills seem to be relegated to a lower priority in our learning. But we all know that even as a teacher, we all know that if I have a very great content and knowledge, but if I don't have an ability to connect with my students and my learners, I don't even get selected. So I think more than anyone, educationists know the importance of the soft skill. But having said that, we have more or less minimized the soft skill and given an undue importance to communication as a very, very big, component. So I just want us to slightly redistribute the importance to, even in communication, it's about, are you in the high context culture communication or a low context communication, We are also talking about one of the key to work space today, we all know, is people management and conflict resolution. Whether it is about people dynamics or whether it is about the ego clashes, the power positions, and also about not being in a cooperative context, this kind of, for some reason we have a great component of cooperative learning, but we have also to some extent minimized this with the tickable agendas and parameters rather than genuinely putting our students in the conflict situation, and especially with working with students who don't get along well. Because in work and in life, you don't always get to choose a partner. And even if you choose a partner based on one perception, you know that partners may have multiple dimensions and then it comes up. So, and also one of the important skills that, the soft skill that talks about is the leadership style and the followership style. Because today in work culture, you know that leadership position is not permanent, and it's not all the time that you drive only from the driver's seat. A lot of guided projects, sometimes you are a team leader and sometimes you are a team member. So the soft skill is as important for leading as well as to be a follower. A good follower is also a great leader. It's a joy to work with. And also we are talking about being able to deal with ambiguity. When I work a lot with Sweden and especially coaching leaders both in corporate and educational world, what I have seen many times in transnational collaboration is that companies do have same technology language, but it is people who implement it. And when they come, let's say to India, Germans coming to India, or we going to Germany, we go with this confidence, oh, I know technology. But the minute you meet people, the ambivalence and ambiguity unfolds. For example, idea of time is very, very different. So our students need to know in some cultures, time can be ish. But in some contexts in work, time is not ish. Let's say if you work with the medical profession, that 1 second is the golden moment you talk about. Then our students need to know the boatman's story of where to really test what kind of skills. So to be able to steer in a situation of ambivalence, our children are extremely spoon-fed and they are parented in what you call the helicopter parenting, and most of the adult interaction with the children are accident prevention approach. But you and I know that we are not going to be there in their real adult life. So what is, and there is not always going to be a picture given, to them, that this is how it is going to be, this is your work, these are the, situations that you will deal with. There is going to be no ready-made formula. I think one of the core soft skill is for students to be put in a situation which is ambivalent and that they can actually navigate and deal with ambivalence with more comfort. So that's another focus that is very important. And also, most important is also to be able to work in both egalitarian systems and in a very hierarchical systems. Because our students are part of a lot of hierarchical systems at home and at workplaces, and then suddenly they're going to be working in a system which could be a multinational corporations where they suddenly will have to be less formal, more straightforward in communication, perhaps, even deal with superior by calling him first name. Have you seen it? Our school systems are not really fully prepared for that. Every time I go to a team member to stand in next to her and talk, partly because of our culture and partly because idea of authority is so traditional, they slowly stand up. And I even ask them, is there a spring under your chair? The minute I come, it gets activated. It's so subconscious. Whereas our students we keep talking about millennials and 21st century learners, may not be part of that kind of an organization culture or national culture. So very, very important to think about that. And also, the last and not the least is the leadership styles. That, as a nation that we have been given a certain set of leadership styles. As organizations, we have experienced certain set of leadership styles. We are not really sure those kinds of leadership styles are going to be relevant for their workspace. So what's the kind of simulation, what's the kind of opportunities that we have for our students to understand different possibilities, because the world is not always universalistic or not always situationalistic. So I think this idea of when to apply what kind of style is also something that we need to think about when we train our young students. So with just this very, very short introduction, I would like to actually pass the mic to some of you. When I got this topic, I said, this is like selling ice to Icelanders. I mean, we are thriving organization that really works on soft skill as much as the content. And also we know that today, in board exam, getting 97, 98% seems to be like a child's walk. It's like everybody gets 10 CGPA and every other person is getting 98, and boards are fighting to show how my scores are better than other scores. So what's going to be the discerning and deciding factor when our student walks into a selection space? If everybody has the highest same score, and everybody looks smartly dressed, and if everybody can articulate and communicate, and if everybody seems to have a whole list of awards and rewards to display, and you have 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes, to showcase what you are really about, I think that's where the soft skill really come in handy. So yeah, my dear friends, I think I throw open the audience for discussions and some sharing as to if you have any best practices, or if you have any thoughts, or if you want to dispute any of what I have said, most welcome. Thank you. Do we have
Would like to know, is there a right, appropriate age or class when we should, integrate soft skills, whether in the curriculum, or we should, form it as a part of the curriculum?
A structured approach could be ideally from 9th grade. Yeah, structured approach. But I think modeled approach of students seeing various demonstration of soft skills by the teachers or by adults in a more facilitator format can start even middle school. But a very structured, it could be a workshop mode, I would say they are ready in the 9th and 10th grade. 11th and 12th, they actually know because they've already gone through some of those, starting with if all of you are 10 CGPA, tell me why I should choose any one of you. And they know already the world is looking for this niche and looking for this very unique USP about you.
With the millennials, these are coming, and whether we can start early. Ninth is, I think, at a later stage, maybe 6th, 7th?
Yeah, I mean, of course, this is not a prescription that is hard and fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It could also be variant to the location you are in, and also the profile and demography of your students. You know, because if we are talking about urban, rural, semi-urban, English medium, vernacular, international school with multicultural, profile, so you can have some of those alterations. So it's not really I'm not here to prescribe that this is the only way.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Recently, I've been a part of a wellness standard which CII is developing for various spaces. And one discussion point out there was for the kids. The Maharashtra government has given certification which saying schools can run an Anapana program, which is a breathing awareness exercise for 10 minutes every day and 30 minutes before exams. And my daughter participated in one of those schools where she goes through it, and there's a phenomenal change in her concentration and stuff like that. So do you have any research or any example like that which is tabulated and studied how behavioral changes happen in kids because their awareness is heightened?
I think there are lots of researches. I just want slightly a conceptual clarity, okay? I know about Anapana, I think, not Gurukul. There's one school in Pune that actually regularly uses it, okay? And
these are some 700 schools across Maharashtra doing this currently.
Yeah.
And teachers supposed to go through some 10 days course to learn that and then teach in the school every day.
Yeah, so there are enough evidences to show that, if you were to give these kind of training programs, that it does impact on the way they present themselves, okay? Since it is a social aspect, you don't have, it's very hard to have the standard measures to show that all children, if given these many hours, would be this kind of a product, because it's a lot of other variables. I want us to also have a small conceptual clarity that while these kind of methods are also about having what you call the intrapersonal balance and maybe intrapersonal connect with yourself, we are not purely talking about intrapersonal connect as a tool for interpersonal excellence. So we must remember that intrapersonal, of course, is very, very core. Knowing yourself, SWOT analysis, knowing how to respond to situations when there is a conflict, or is it a value that I've been questioned, that how do I respond to it, or is it about a basic assumption? Because the conflict time is when actually we know that soft skills are at its best test. So I think to know that one is more of a complement and not a means and end by itself. I think that's the concept clarity I want you to have. Yes. Shall I give you the mic?
Thank you, ma'am. My point that about the soft skill and leadership, generally we are giving to the higher classes and particularly the higher education. But in my opinion, it should be started from the primary level. And do we have the defined models that suppose that model 1 for the class 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 is defined, so which we can introduce, and that will be particularly related to the life skill also. So not that is the soft skill, it will be related to the life skill education, but the child will learn the 4 skills, that communication, creativity, and that is other part of the life that means they can learn.
I don't know if I'm going to say something that's not very appropriate. My worry is that the minute we try to prescribe to the primary, we might have some more commercial propositions on how to, we will be bombarded with textbooks and technology tools. But having said that, we do have emotional social literacy as a foundation for soft skill in early primary education. And how you deal with it, whether it is to be separately delivered as a life skills subject, which is a danger, because then children will treat emotional social literacy as something separate and something that you need to master instead of infusing it in our regular curriculum subjects. So social emotional literacy is a foundation for soft skill. Because, if you see, there are 4 core soft skills that today work life demands. Personal literacy is the first one, knowing myself and my strengths and weaknesses. And I think we bombard them every day in both formal and informal reporting to them. This is what you're good at. This is where you need to improve, So this is something that you really are, your opportunity for excelling. And this is something that, need to be working on because this is a challenge for you. The second is the social literacy. The most important today is the social literacy of ability to be part of a group, ability to lead and be part of the group, and ability to relate to people, especially people who are unlike you. I see our school systems are becoming extremely ghettoized because we have similar profiles. You put them in another profile, our children sometimes don't even have the language ability. I must give you this example. We had, this Maharashtra has this Varkari tradition, the Sant tradition. So we had taken this project of our children going and participating in that, passage. The huge, I wouldn't call it demonstration, it's a kind of padyatra that happens. And along with them, they will also strike some conversations and have questions. And they have all learned Marathi. But they've learned Marathi as a textbook, as a subject. They did not learn Marathi as a communication tool. So our children were struggling to read the questions and did not understand that the varis are in another kind of emotional plane. They were walking fast, they were singing bhajans, so they didn't know when to push this question. So I think the most important and the second is the social literacy of ability to connect with people who are unlike you. Because in your team, you know that you have people who you will not really want to spend lifetime, but you do have to work with them. And sometimes you don't share the same values, you don't share the same social background. So yet you need to work with. So I think it's very important. The third literacy is what in the business world called business literacy, is to know the bread and butter of your context. If you're working with the school, even if you're not an educationist and a pedagogue, you must know what this bread and butter of the school is. You at least must know. So to know the core processes of whatever workspace that you work with. And the fourth important one that has been added recently is the cultural literacy. And from India, I think we take it for granted because we come from an extremely diverse communities and cultures. But you know that when you work with the Tamilian, you work with the Bangalorean, you work with the Maharashtrian, you work with the North Indian, you still have to have these subtle cultural alignments. We speak the same language, but we still don't mean exactly the same. So intracultural and intercultural is a very, very important literacy that's been recently added. So that's why I'm very, very hesitant to prescribe this as a format and a formalized, standardized instructional method for early primary. Focus early primary is about social and emotional literacy. Yeah, and of course the method is entirely open to you, and I think we must customize it. My worry is when we standardize it, within Delhi there are schools that have different profiles. Within Pune, I know there are schools that have different profiles. And then, to talk to a particular group of students about something, if they haven't had an exposure, should not give them a feeling that they are
we have experimented the soft skill from standard 4th and 5th itself. It is quite success as it is related to the classroom teaching also. So my question, if there will be some module available, like that is how to develop the leadership from childhood. Because at the age of 9 and 10, sometimes whenever they are losing their primary age and their communication skills once developed from primary or pre-primary level, definitely they can develop the no need of the soft skill in the higher classes. So my question, so if there is a specific model for a specific age group, so it will be better.
Anyone want to answer him? Yeah, point well taken. Yes.
Good afternoon to all of you. I am Shuchita Gupta. I am principal of Jammu Sanskriti School, Kathua. And as I will tell you that I have nearly about 33 years of experience in education line. I have worked as a teacher. Before just replying this answer, I just want to give a background. And I have worked in colleges. I have worked in Army Institute of Higher Education, that is B.Ed college. And then I have worked in engineering college also. From there, I shifted to a small, initially started school, again as a principal. And my school is just a budding school, it is second year. So my question, answer to your first question is that if there are 4 people having same marks, 10 CGPA or something like that, how we can see the caliber and all, that is basically, in my point of view, it is basically that the personality, first and the foremost thing is the personality, your body language, and the way you are responding to the questions. That is again the soft skills are very much important. It is not only soft skills, doesn't mean that we have to speak in English only. Many of the people, they are not even able to reply in their own language also, or speak in front. And as per sir's question, it is like that there is no age. I agree with you, there is no age, because in my school, it is a very remote area, it is not a very big city. Kathua is a very small city where the students are from the villages. From the remote villages also I am having the students. And what I initiated in my school, I want to share with you people that I have a stage in each and every class from the pre-nursery to prep class till UKG. And on that stage, each and every day the child has to go on the stage. Maybe they are singing a poem with the actions and everything. So that is the building of confidence level from the starting age only. And I have proved it that within this 1.5 year span of time, my children are very much confident, and even the parents, they have appreciated this thing. So it is not, it is obvious that in 9th and 10th, what the skills have been made, and that we cannot change in a day or two. It will take long time. So otherwise also there is no age of learning. We can learn at any age. So this is like if we start from the initial stage in a, not in a formal way, but informal way.
Thank you. I also think, the idea of leadership as very universal, and that we can develop everyone into a leader, I think it's a very dangerous discourse. Because I think all of you, I don't even need to elaborate that. And that leadership is something that is given to you as a crown once, and that it will never be taken away, and that let's start grooming from the age of 3. I mean, what's the big hurry to be a leader? Leadership is not about title. You need to gather wisdom, experience, you should have walked the path before that, and that you realize that it is not a chair full of rose petals, and all this is not something that you can push in through any of the structured curriculum. And I think this premium given on that let's make everybody a leader, I think is a very, very misplaced narrative for us as in school system, I think. This is, yeah sure.
Hello everybody, namaskar. I also believe that there needs to be a soft skill development amongst the staff, including the facility staff. Because children ultimately are also looking up to the teacher, the facility staff also. So the etiquettes, soft skill is not only about communication, it's also the body language.
Absolutely.
And hence, on children, but I think we also need to focus upon the staff.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also where I talked about, I mean, I didn't want to take too much of my voice time, but the organization culture, if you're talking about a leadership style, it must demonstrate what you're trying to say. Otherwise, you say something and then children can, or students and our teachers can also see through, and then there is this disconnect. And then, there is also a subtle learning that it's okay to say one thing and it's okay to act something, and that's part of my, learning about leadership. I think it's a very, very complex, ecosystem of teaching soft skill. You're very right. Yes. Shall I give you mine? Yeah.
It's not just the leadership that you are saying, you are absolutely right. The thought process of a child should also be enhanced. They should be taught how to come forward with what they think and what to do at the right time. And it actually, enhances their personality, should be taught to take the failures as well. That too nicely and properly. This is what I want to add.
One of these soft skill, or what you talked about, this anapana leadership, is very transient. And hence today's leader, Dhoni, can be a player tomorrow. And what a graceful way of being a team member. And I think we really have to give this to our students, because they're going to be working mostly project-based workspaces. It's not like you've decided and you have the title and it's all done with. So there are times that we as principals and heads of schools depend on, for example, very beautifully she had talked about, let's say technology solutions. I'm not the leader. It's my IT department that really leads ahead, So we do depend on other people, and then I must take the position of being in a learner mode. So I think to be very, very careful and not put all these eggs in the basket of leadership as soft skill, need to be very, very careful. I can get the signal. One last, I think somebody had raised, yes, and then we can close it. Yeah? Shall I give you my mic?
Thank you very much, Lakshmi Kumar. When everybody is discussing, I strongly feel that we cannot compartmentalize even the soft skill training. It has to be infused with your scholastic training. Whenever you are teaching, teacher is a magician. Whether she's in the classroom, outside the classroom, anywhere, she can very well train and infuse and can make the part of this soft skill training that can be done in that way. That's what I feel. We have been doing so many leadership camps for every student, because we feel there is a leader without titles. So we have to, and at this juncture when there is societal rate so high, strong students are not mentally strong. So we have to blend all these life skills, soft skills together along with scholastic skills. Thank you very much. I am Manisha from Venkateshwar International School, Dwarka.
Thank you. Yeah, so I want to just close with a very, very short experience. This was in '94 when I began to travel to Sweden for training. So I stayed in a Swedish family, and it was in April, so it was just about snow melting time. So the family decided to take me to excite me, because it was very cold and very gray, and there is not many people. Those who have traveled will know Scandinavia especially is very empty. So they decided to take me one Sunday morning, and they drove me to the very beautiful nearby forest. And so we stopped the car, and then we walked through the forest, and remember it was still 2 degrees. And then suddenly the lady of the house stopped, and she kind of shrieked with excitement. She said, oh my God, look at this beautiful thing. And they all looked at the ground, and there was this, the spring first flower, one little white flower. And I said to myself that really, did you bring me all the way in this extremely cold weather to show this one white flower? I didn't understand it until I traveled back to Sweden in December. Everything fitted. Gray, cold, freezing, snow, no sun for 9 months, and then you have this one lily flower. I think soft skill is about that. To understand and express in a context. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for moderating session so well. And a leader can only, make another leader. So I think more or less we need training for our administrative people also, teachers also, so that they know that how to build another leader out of any student. And I would request ma'am to please come on stage. We have a speaker memento for ma'am, which will be presented on the stage. Please, Lakshmi ma'am, please come on stage. I would request Ms. Seema Gupta to please give away the token of thank you to ma'am for coming here and moderating the session. Round of applause, please, for ma'am. Thank you so much.